My birthday is coming up, and my wife Becky said she's gonna bake me a cake herself. She even signed up for a cake-making class. She's really into it, spending 2 hours after work every day at class. Every night, she'd bring home her latest baking creation, getting better each time. On my birthday, she came in with a big homemade cake and opened it up in front of everyone. The gift I gave her in return was a photo album. Each page was filled with intimate pictures of her and the cake instructor getting cozy. She had no idea that every night she was supposedly learning cakes from David. I was outside the glass window watching their romance unfold. Becky finally learned how to make a beautiful cake. But she lost me, the one who loved her most. With all our friends and family watching, Becky presented a big birthday cake, covered in white cream and topped with delicious mangoes. Everyone clapped and cheered. Becky is such a wonderful wife, making this cake herself. I heard she's been learning for a month. Edward is so lucky to have married such a wife. Becky blushed and looked at me. Honey, make a wish and blow out the candles. I looked at her, holding a gift box. Becky has been working hard, 2 hours a day after work, just to learn cake making for me. I'm really grateful, so I decided to give her a gift. Everyone laughed. You two are hilarious, spreading the love around endlessly. Becky playfully looked at me. You still got me a gift, huh? What is it? She gently untied the bow, and the box unfolded, scattering its contents all around like snowflakes. What is this? Just photos. Who's the guy she's hugging with Becky? Isn't that David? Becky's ex? How come it's all intimate photos of them at the cake shop? Wow, that's shameless. Friends picked up the scattered photos, whispering among themselves. Becky's face turned white, and she grabbed the photos from their hands. Don't look. These are fake. But there were too many to collect them all. The room went silent. Sensing the awkward tension, the guests made up excuses to leave until it was just Becky and me standing in the living room. Becky didn't know that every night she learned cake making. I was outside the workshop watching through the big glass windows as she and David got close. For a whole month, I watched David hold her hand, spread cream on the cake with tender affection, saw him feeding Becky strawberries from his lips, watched Becky smear cream on her finger and then on David's lips, saw them laughing and passionately kissing. Becky, in those 30 nights, looked different than in our 5 years of marriage, soft and charming. Her smile lasting until 10 p.m. when she'd leave the workshop. No, more precisely, when she'd leave David to return to me, she'd leave her smile there and bring back coldness. Becky's face turned pale as she frantically tore up the photos. Honey, listen. This is a misunderstanding. The cake on the table lay knocked over, creating a mess. I picked up a photo of them kissing and showed it to her. Becky, what sort of misunderstanding allows a married woman to embrace and kiss another man every night? Oh, and even dance closely? Does David's cake shop also teach married women to dance? Do his students know he has so many hobbies? I tossed the photos in her face. Can you explain this? Becky's face was red. Edward, I really wanted to learn how to bake a cake for you. And what about you? Spying on and taking photos of me? She got more emboldened. You don't trust me? Have you thought about how I feel? I made a cake for you and you doubt me and David taking these photos purposefully? I laughed in disbelief. She went to learn cake making after work, and feeling sorry for her, I wanted to pick her up, only to see them hugging outside the window. I knew David was back in town, but I didn't know she'd be with him every night. I looked at her, my heart in knots. Becky, did you care about my feelings when you betrayed our marriage? Making a cake for me was just an excuse to meet David, right? After all, if it were truly for me, would you really make a mango cake? I'm allergic to mangoes. Did you forget? But of course, you'd remember what David liked. How would you remember my preferences? Becky, where's your heart? Is it made of stone? Becky suddenly recalled my mango allergy. Her face turned again, but she tried to explain. I forgot, and besides, the mangoes looked so fresh and sweet. I interrupted Becky, enough. If you had any sentiment left for me, you wouldn't have done this. Becky looked stubborn, tilting her head. I know you're always jealous about me and David, but now we're just friends. Don't taint our relationship with your dirty thoughts. A friendly kiss doesn't mean I broke our vows. Today was my class reunion too, but I didn't go because of you. What more do you want? Edward, know when to stop. Just then, her phone rang. I knew it was David because that was the special ringtone from their college piano duet, thinking I wouldn't know. Every time David called, the music would remind her of their sweet times. She answered the call, then looked at me coldly. You happy to ruin your birthday party? Think things over. As the party's messed up and you don't even want to celebrate, I'm heading to my reunion. Don't wait up. With that, she grabbed her bag and slammed the door, leaving the room in chaos. I collapsed onto the couch, listening to the sound of a car driving away outside. I covered my face, letting the tears slip through my fingers. I knew David was Becky's true love, the one she couldn't have. They broke up because her parents disapproved, but then they met again a few years after getting married. When she ran into David on the street, her hand quickly slipped off my arm. She looked at David with a shy smile like a schoolgirl and introduced us with a hint of awkwardness and unwillingness. It was as if she was afraid David would find out I was her husband. But the light in her eyes when she looked at David told me just how much she loved him, and how indifferent her feelings for me were. There were a few class reunions later, and Becky always found an excuse not to bring me. She said, no one else is bringing their spouse. It'd be awkward if I did. But then I saw on her social media that her classmates brought their partners. Only she and David went solo, sitting closely together like a genuine couple, clearly in love. Afterward, I stopped asking if she wanted me to come along because I knew the answer would be no. I didn't want to embarrass myself anymore. But seeing the photos of her and David cuddled up together, I held back my anger and asked her, why do you always sit next to David, even holding each other? Someone might mistake him for your husband. Becky impatiently replied, don't overthink it. You don't know my classmates. What would you talk about with them? Most of them are teachers and professors. Do you want to talk business with them? I was so mad my face turned red. What about David? Does he discuss how to make cakes and chocolates with them? Becky snapped, he's just doing that temporarily. You have no idea how talented he is, so don't talk nonsense. Yeah, in her eyes, David is perfect. His failed investments were just bad luck. Leaving the teaching profession was because he had bigger dreams, and making cakes was a sign of his cultured and refined demeanor, embracing a slow-paced life. Every choice David made was ideal in her eyes. But no matter what I achieved, the best I got from her was, besides business, what else are you good at? Midnight. My birthday was over, and Becky hadn't come home. I thought about calling her, but saw a new notification in her social feed. I opened it. It was filled with photos from the class reunion. A grid of 9 photos, all of her with David. She chose pictures from college, post-graduation, showing the passage of time and their changes. But every photo showed an unchanged scene, them together arm in arm. In the very center, there was a photo of David and Becky by a fountain, with David kissing her forehead and Becky holding a bouquet of roses. She captioned it, a scene I've imagined 1,000 times in my dreams. The comments below were full of praise. The golden couple from our class. Seeing you two still so in love is nostalgic. The moment David kissed Becky reminded me of that romantic night after college graduation. Seeing them together makes me believe in love again. The thought that sometimes love doesn't end up together is such a pity. You guys have to be together. Becky replied in the comments. No matter what, David is always the love of my heart. I couldn't help but laugh. How ironic. Becky knew I loved her so much it put me in the dust. She took advantage of that, openly showing her feelings for another man. She knew I'd never leave her. Even if I got mad, a little coaxing from her would have me running back. I couldn't resist commenting on Becky's post. You've come this far, why not just get married? I put down my phone, exhausted, looking at the home I'd built with love and laughter, now feeling like a joke. I sent a message to my secretary. Get ready to expand the branch office, starting in 3 days. I got up and packed my things into a suitcase. My company had always planned on expanding into City B, but certain circumstances required me to go too. I'd been hesitant because I couldn't bear to leave Becky. Home always came first in my life, but now it seemed pointless. I was woken up by the sound of things being thrown. Becky stormed in, fuming. "Edward, are you crazy? What nonsense did you spout in my social feed last night? Do you know how much trouble you've caused David?" My foggy brain slowly cleared, and I remembered my comment on her post. I threw off the covers and got out of bed. "What? Is he unhappy with my comment?" Becky's eyes burned with anger. "What were you thinking? You put me and him in a bad light. What are we doing that's so shameful? Delete that comment right now and apologize to David. My parents have been blowing up my phone. You've caused this mess. Fix it. Do you know how awkward David was at the reunion because of you? Delete the comment immediately." She grabbed the phone from the bedside and tossed it at me, hitting my forehead. I felt dizzy as a warm stream trickled down. Touching it, my hand came away bloody. A gash on my brow dripped blood. A disturbing sight. Becky was shocked, stepping back, muttering, "Why didn't you dodge? If you hadn't commented, I wouldn't have been mad enough to throw it. It's not my fault." I was speechless, feeling like gravel filled my throat. Why did I love a woman who held another man in her heart and eyes? Pressing a clean towel to stop the bleeding, I looked at her. "Becky, you love David so much. I'll let you two be together." I turned and slammed the door behind me. The gash on my forehead was deep and needed 5 stitches. The doctor said it's okay. For guys, scars aren't a big deal. Your wife won't mind, right? I forced a smile. She probably wouldn't care. She's the one who tossed it, then left, leaving the doctor speechless. Just as I stepped out of the ER, Becky and David rushed toward me. Becky stopped me. "I can't drive, so I got David to bring me here. How's your wound?" I tried to get past her, heading out, but David blocked my way. "Edward, Becky didn't mean it. She was terrified when she called me, crying the whole time. You're not gonna hold it against her, right?" Becky looked at me with tearful eyes and said, "If you had just apologized, I wouldn't have gotten so mad. I wouldn't have thrown anything. How was I to know you couldn't dodge a simple cell phone?" I halted and stared at them, with David half embracing Becky, and I shouted out, "You want me to apologize to a man who was making out with my wife? Apologize for what, not being enough into it? Or for not kissing long enough? You two have no shame, but I do. Becky, from now on, we're done. Kiss whoever you want. If someone's into wearing a green hat, go look for them. Becky, we're getting divorced." Becky was stunned. "What did you say? Divorce over such a little thing? Edward, did you get hit in the head or something? Divorce me? Ha! Don't act impulsively. When you regret it later, I won't even look back." I ignored her, went home, grabbed my packed suitcase, glanced one last time at what used to be a warm little home, and walked away. 3 days later, I left City A with a few subordinates and headed for City B. I didn't take Becky's calls and didn't reply to her messages. I left all the divorce stuff to my lawyer. But David called me up. "Edward, are you seriously overreacting? Just a minor injury and you're talking divorce and running away? Do you know how worried Becky is about you? Do you realize how scared and concerned she is being home alone?" I was amused. "David, isn't this exactly what you wanted? If you're not comforting her right now, when will you? I'm not kidding about the divorce. Becky will get the papers soon, and I don't want any more ties with her. Have her sign the papers and give them to my lawyer. I hope you two lovebirds live happily ever after." I hung up on David and blocked him, but Becky refused to sign the papers. She even went to my parents to persuade me. I posted all the cozy pictures of her and David in our family group chat, with both sets of parents included. Those dozens of photos in the group were intimate and shocking. I said, "Mom, Dad, Becky said David is her eternal love. I won't be the barrier anymore. I'm happy for them. No need to persuade me. This is a decision I made after careful consideration. Becky, just sign the papers. Let's part on good terms. Continuing this won't do you any good." Becky's school was soon up for evaluation. If things got ugly, there's no way she would make the professor rank this year. She texted me, "Edward, I didn't cheat. I didn't sleep with David. We're innocent. Come back, we should talk." I replied, "Becky, betrayal doesn't always involve a bedroom. Your actions just disgust me. I don't want any more ties. See you on the divorce day. Becky finally signed the divorce papers. A month later, I flew back from City B to finalize the divorce. Becky still carried her proud demeanor, dressed in a white dress, intelligent yet beautiful. She looked at me outside the civil affairs office and asked, "Edward, is there no chance left for us? Do we have to go this far?" I touched the scar on my brow, smiled mockingly, and said nothing. She looked at me stubbornly, head held high. "Fine, Edward. I won't take any of your money. I'll prove that I'll live well without you, and you'll regret it." As I held the divorce certificate, I waved it at her. "Goodbye, Becky." Turning around, I said goodbye to a 5-year marriage. I hurried back to City B. So much work awaited my decisions. Love seemed like such an insignificant thing. The next time I heard about Becky and David was 2 months later. They got married. Their wedding was grand, inviting all their classmates and relatives. When I received the invitation, I just laughed it off, as all ties with Becky were over. Nothing about her impacted me anymore. On Becky's wedding day, I happened to be in City A. I thought about it and decided to attend. Becky looked like she fulfilled a lifelong wish, wearing a wedding dress and walking down a long flower path led by flower girls towards David. Guests who seemed familiar with them were whispering in the back. Heard Becky footed the wedding bill. Wow, she's really putting out for him? Who knows? Everyone knows how much Becky loves David. She's probably so overjoyed to marry him that she doesn't care about who pays. Isn't David trying to become a university lecturer but hasn't succeeded? He was also into various business ventures. Becky has connections. I heard she's helping him out. Didn't you see several school leaders at the main table today? I quietly listened from the front, seeming that Becky really does have a romance brain. We'll now have the couple exchange rings. The MC loudly declared from the stage, marking the wedding's climax. Wait a second. Someone interrupted the ceremony. Everyone turned to see a woman with a child, dressed appropriately with a graceful demeanor. She smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry for the intrusion. I had no other choice but to find David here because he wouldn't answer my calls." Becky eyed her with suspicion. "Who are you?" The woman leaned down, whispering softly to the child. "Didn't you say you haven't seen Daddy in a long time? Go to Daddy now." The little girl, around 3 or 4 years old, looked at David and happily jumped towards him. "Daddy? Nyenya missed you so much. Why haven't you come to see Nyenya in such a long time?" The word daddy left everyone shocked. David was married? Whoa, talk about a bombshell. Didn't he say he was always single when he came back? Becky turned pale, like she'd been hit hard. "David? Who is she? Why is this kid calling you daddy? Were you married? Did you lie to me?" David shook his head, looking flustered. "I wasn't married. Don't listen to them making stuff up." The woman stepped forward. "Becky, I'm Clara, David's fiancée. I'm not here to cause trouble. I've got my own job and life. I'm just here to settle a debt. David really wasn't married. He just had a child with me. He promised to give me and the child a proper status. Then he said he was starting a company with a friend and left home to earn money. Then nothing. No child support, and he even took all our savings claiming it was for investment. I couldn't reach him by phone. He blocked me. If not for a friend, he forgot to block seeing him on social media talking about getting married. I wouldn't have found him. David, don't worry. I'm not here to cause trouble or crash your wedding." David stepped forward, saying quietly, "Then why are you here? Go back home. I'll come find you after the wedding." Clara laughed, shaking her head. "David, I don't trust you anymore. I won't believe another word from you. Today, in front of all your friends and family, I just want my money. Then I'll leave with the kid. You don't want to get stuck here with me, making Becky wait in her wedding dress, right?" Becky rushed up, demanding, "David, what's going on? Didn't you say you only ever had room in your heart for me? How could you have a kid with another woman?" The kid, scared by Becky's reaction, hid behind David. "Daddy, I'm scared." Becky pushed the child's hand away. "He isn't your daddy." David picked up the child. "Becky, the child is innocent. Let me sort this out and then I'll explain everything to you. Becky's eyes were red, tears ready to fall. You lied to me. You have a kid and a fiancé. Now, at our wedding, you're causing a scene, David. You're wrecking my life. Do you think that's fair? She threw her bouquet at David, petals scattering all over. David tried to calm her, all while holding the child and facing Clara, who looked at him like a vengeful goddess. Becky's dad stood up. David, explain what's going on. If you don't, there won't be a wedding. David quickly explained. Dad, this is from back when I was young and stupid, a mistake from getting drunk. I know I messed up. I'll fix it right now. Ignoring the child's cries, he put the child down and didn't look back. He took out his phone to transfer money to Clara and then shouted, I've returned your money. Satisfied now? Get out with the kid already. Clara took the child, glancing at Becky. Take my advice, know who you're getting involved with. David used me up and threw me away when I was no longer useful. Beware, you might be next. When he was with me, I invested hundreds of thousands. But he was a lost cause. When I ran out of money, he moved on, and I think you're that new branch he found. Good luck. Also, David, this child is no longer connected to you. She'll take my last name from now on. With that, she led the child away, leaving behind only the child's cries off Daddy catching people's attention. David apologized softly to Becky. I'm sorry, honey. It was a mistake from when I was young, drunk, and mistook her for you. She had the child without telling me. I paid her back. I promised not to see her again. The wedding was already underway, and Becky was stuck. Continue and lose face or back out, but it seemed like there was no way out but forward. Becky and David's wedding ended like a spectacle, but word got out about what happened. Becky, who prides herself on being strong, lost face at her wedding, leading to a big argument with David. But there was no undoing what had happened. After David sweet-talked Becky for a while, she started to feel better. After all, the woman left with the child and won't return. David was someone she'd always loved, so maybe it was best to move on. But I saw in her group chats that they were talking about how David couldn't land a university teaching job again. At the wedding, Becky invited her school's leadership, probably hoping David would make some connections. But the whole wedding debacle left a poor impression. Who would trust a man involved in such a mess before marriage, abandoning a child? He didn't properly end things with his fiancée before marrying Becky. What a disgraceful move. A few months later, after finishing work with my branch, I returned to City A. I happened to be going for a friend's birthday dinner and wanted to buy a cake. My friend stopped the car, and I looked up, realizing I was at David's handmade cake shop. I stayed put in the car, stunned. In only a few months, things felt so different, like something from another lifetime. I saw a sign on the door that read, Cake-making lessons available, one-on-one teaching. Through the glass window, I saw David laughing and chatting with a young, beautiful girl as they made a cake. It was a familiar scene, only this time the woman had changed from Becky to a pretty girl. David gently held the girl's hand, showing her how to spread cream on the cake. They exchanged smiles often. I let out a mocking laugh. Some people never change. While thinking about this, I saw a woman with messy hair rush into the cake shop. She yanked David and the girl apart, landing a slap on the girl's face. You homewrecker, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. Dressed all dolled up to make a cake? Who are you trying to seduce? I looked closely and realized the crazy woman was Becky. The girl covered her face, tears in her eyes, hiding behind David. You're crazy. What are you doing? I'm just learning how to make a cake from the teacher. I didn't do anything wrong. Becky tried to strike again, but David pushed her away. Becky, have you lost your mind? Throwing a tantrum at home isn't enough. You have to cause a scene at my workplace too? Do you really want to ruin my career? I was just teaching a student to bake, and you storm in here hitting and yelling. Apologize now. Becky looked at him in disbelief. You want me to apologize to her? She's flirting around. Do you think I don't know about your little fling? Now you want me to say sorry? David, is this how you treat me? I fill your bottomless pit with money, but you take my money and go on dates with pretty young girls? Do you have any conscience, David? Do you realize what I've given up for you? And now you cheat on me, living it up. I'm done with you. She lunged at David, trying to claw at him, mad with anger. David shielded the pretty girl and pushed Becky aside. She stumbled and hit her waist on the edge of a table, crying out in pain, and curled up on the floor, moaning. The pretty girl fell into David's arms, crying. I was terrified. David comforted her. It's okay. Don't be scared. She'll calm down eventually. Then he shouted at Becky, who was lying on the floor. You're paranoid every day, checking my phone, following my schedule. I'm your husband, not a prisoner. Who could stand being married to you? Becky couldn't sit up, crying out in pain. David, call an ambulance. My stomach hurts so badly. David was unmoved. Stop playing the victim here. Thinking I won't blame you then? You've ruined my business. I'm not letting this go. I watched Becky lying there, groaning, and walked in. Becky saw me, her eyes lit up, and she reached out to me. Edward, help me. I looked at David. As an outsider, I'd say you should call an ambulance. She looks like she's bleeding. The sight of blood on the floor made Becky's face pale, and David froze in place. The ambulance arrived swiftly. Becky clutched her stomach as they lifted her onto the stretcher. David was lost, so I pushed him onto the ambulance, heading for the hospital. Becky was pregnant. After David pushed her, she began bleeding and was rushed into the emergency room to see if the pregnancy could be saved. When Becky was out of surgery, the doctor looked sternly at David. Wasn't the family aware of this? She's pregnant with twins. It's not yet 3 months, and the pregnancy is still delicate. How could you let her fall? Becky woke up, saw David, and turned her face away. David, full of remorse, held her hand. Honey, I was wrong. I shouldn't have laid a hand on you. I'm an idiot. I almost harmed our baby. Honey, you're having twins. I'll make it up to you. I promise I won't upset you anymore. Maybe I'll stop taking on female students. How about that? My interaction with that student was only a little close. But you must believe me, I didn't cheat on you. Really? Check the shop anytime if you don't believe me. Becky's heart softened, about to forgive him, until she noticed a lipstick mark on his collar. Her anger flared, and she slapped him across the face. David, you disgust me. Teaching cakes. Huh? Teaching how? Straight to the bed like you taught me? David was stunned by the slap. Hearing her yell, he pushed her hand away. What nonsense are you talking again? Becky pointed at the lipstick mark, sobbed, and shouted. Is this what you call close? David, I'm so disappointed in you. I got you into that teaching job, found connections for you, and you still managed to get entangled with a student, having your photos posted online and getting expelled. My job was affected because of these connections, and now it's suspended. I let you bake cakes and you fool around with students. You've drained all my money. Don't come home anymore. I regret everything. Was Clara right? Once I've served my purpose, you're ditching me for better prospects? David took a step back, coldly watching her as she screamed frantically. I think your emotions are unstable because of the pregnancy. Becky, you have 2 kids to think about now. What do you plan on doing? Divorce? Be a single mom? If you divorce again, that'll be twice. I don't care. But you, a woman with 2 divorces, who's going to want you? Becky, besides me, no one would want to be with you, you know that. Calm down, I'll come back to see you tomorrow. Saying this, he slammed the door and left. I stood outside, watching David storm off in anger. I opened the door, seeing Becky inside, crying her heart out. Seeing me, she stopped crying, forced a smile, and said, Edward, thank you for saving me today. She hung her head, tears splashing onto the bed. Crying, she said, Edward, I was wrong all along. I betrayed you for a heartless man like him. My current fate is the karma I deserve. Do you know David has absolutely no skills? He's always dreaming big but achieves nothing. He spent all the family money and maxed out credit cards, leaving me to pay the monthly bills. I had no money, so he made me borrow from friends and family to fill his endless pit. Meanwhile, he's out flirting with other women. Everything he said was a lie. I thought I found a good man, but turns out not so much. If I could choose again, I wish I'd never met him. I listened quietly and then said softly, "Becky, this was your choice, but life has no what-ifs." I heard that the next day, Becky aborted the child and decided to divorce David. David didn't agree because he was deeply in debt. Without Becky, he'd be homeless. He clung to Becky, refusing to divorce at any cost. Their divorce case dragged on for 2 exhausting years. It ended because David got a cake-baking trainee pregnant. Her boyfriend came over, beat David half to death, and the next day someone found a limping David lying in the cake shop. Becky finally used this incident to force a divorce. Becky got suspended from her teaching job. She finally decided not to teach anymore, resigning to move to a remote mountain area to teach underprivileged kids. And David? He was chased by creditors everywhere, living a life of hiding. One day, I was driving my girlfriend to get some dessert. She insisted on a particular strawberry-filled cake. We drove around half the city and passed by David's old cake shop. It had long since changed into a clothing store with no trace of the past. My girlfriend playfully tugged at my ear. "What are you staring at outside? Are you looking at another girl? I'll get jealous, you can only look at me." I turned to her, smiling. I saw a jewelry store. Made me think, it's time for us to get married. She smiled, throwing her arms around me. "All right, let's get married."